y'all. Hey, happy Tuesday. I am back with another episode. Welcome to my channel, guys. So today we are talking about And Just Like That. I'm trying to make sure I keep up on track of the episodes and try not to fall behind and giving you the recaps every week. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what we thought about the episode this week. What did we think about the episode for And Just Like That? This is episode 2 of season 3. I'm gonna say if we rated a 1 to 10, listen, I don't know if this type of show is a good show to do the rating from 1 to 10 just because it's a series show. And so I think that, excuse me, y'all. I think naturally the show has to have like a little bit of up and down. But I think for me, I enjoyed this week's episode. I enjoyed I feel like this season we are really gonna see Miranda kind of, I guess, fumble with dating. And I guess what's weird about it is we saw her going back to again why this has been such a great reboot or sequel to Sex in the City is because we're getting to have parallel moments, but they're new moments. And of course, those are the things that helps a show's longevity. Just side note, really quick. That's part of the reason why I stopped watching Grey's Anatomy. At a certain point, the storylines began to be regurgitated, and with little change at all to them. It felt I was watching the show and it felt like I saw this before, right? And so I'm like, yeah, okay. Because if you're going on for 20 seasons and part of your longevity to have 20 seasons is that you are taking storylines from the beginning of the show and now you're bringing them back, to the end of the show, count me out. There has to be more creativity in somebody or in a company than that. So count me out. So back to this again. That's why I like this reboot or sequel to Sex and the City is because we're getting to see, like I said, just see these characters in the same space, but just in a newer space or doing it different. So back to Miranda, like we saw her on Sex and the City date. We saw how horrible of a dater she was when it came to dating men. And oddly enough, she is still just as horrible now that it's time to date women. But I'm liking the idea that we get to see her in that element and see her kind of try to fiddle her way around and figure out how she's going to do it. But let's just get into the episode altogether, okay? So it opens with Carrie meeting, and I don't remember this young lady's name. So if you do, just drop down in the comments and refresh my memory. But she goes and meets the girl. Remember, she sold her apartment to the girl who is kind of like a Carrie Jr., right? Which is kind of cute because it seems like it's setting up for a prequel, which that's what I kept calling it last week. So the prequel would be, I guess, I never watched the Carrie Diaries, right? That was like the show, a little sitcom that came out with, and it was supposed to be like Carrie in high school or something. I never watched it. By the time that came out, I mean, I was fully grown with my own kids. I didn't really want to watch Carrie in high school. Even though I watch a lot of high school stuff, like I watch what was I about to call them? Riverdale. I was about to say Riverdance, but I do. And my son is the one that called me out about it when he saw me watching it. He was like, "This is for kids." I'm like, "No, it's not." I was so embarrassed. He had to be like 8. He's like, "This is for kids." Like, what are you doing watching this? I'm like, "It's good." And Riverdale was. Anyway, so I never did get into Carrie Diaries. And maybe it might be something I might go and find. Maybe I might watch it just to see what it had been about. But anyway, back to what I was saying about this episode, that young lady, she seems to be the Carrie we got to know, right? And so what's interesting about the parallel and watching Carrie's relationship with her is like Carrie is kind of like the godmother to this girl. Now there's this new girl who's out in New York, single, trying to, live her fabulous life. And Carrie's here to help her along the way, unlike what she may have had going through. So anyway, they meet up for some drinks. And Carrie talks about how much she's enjoying her house, and that it reminds her of the 1800s, which now she's setting us up for her new book, which she's going to start writing again. And part of the new book that she's writing is going to have love stories from the 1800s, or love stories from the other women that lived in the house. I believe that's exactly what she said in that meeting, was that as she sits in her home, she imagines all of the women that lived there before her, and what their stories may have been, like, what got them there, which is cool. We've seen movies like that. So it's pretty cool that she's going to, write her next book out for that, because also what we know about Carrie is that her professional life really does kind of imitate her real life, or the life that she's living. So currently she's not really where she wants to talk about Aiden, and that situation is still a little shaky, which we're going to get to that. Not shaky, but we're going to get to it anyway. So I thought that was kind of cool, which this leads the young lady to kind of say, like, oh, well, like, it must have been so much easier to date back in those times, because now we date and we have apps and the phones. And so she was just comparing to thinking that she's dating her phone, which that's so funny that she would say that, because as a person who is in the dating world myself, that is true. I think that I was just complaining about a person who is, I guess, interested. I can't tell that the person is interested, because the way that he texts is very surface. And so with that being said, I guess I feel old school, and I'm like, hey, pick up the phone and talk to me, like, if you're gonna want my attention. Otherwise, you won't get it. B, I'm not gonna have a long drawn out conversation in text message, not with somebody I'm just getting to know. Like, if I'm writing any type of paragraph type of text messages to anybody, like, I've had to know you probably 5+ years. If somebody under 5 years, I'm not even invested that hard. So I thought that was a very interesting conversation, and a way to bring everything up to date. Going back to why And Just Like That is, like, doing its thing, and why they've come back for a third season. Like, I think it's hard for shows to revamp or regroup and last, but this is lasting because they are keeping us engulfed with the past, and at the same time they are staying accurate and current with what is happening right now. And it doesn't feel forced with the characters. All of the characters feel like they are naturally in these spaces, and that is, again, what we loved about Sex and the City, and what I am definitely loving about And Just Like That. So like she says, she feels like she's in a relationship with her phone. And as she does that, she's so extra, she tosses the phone. This is the young lady. I can't remember her name, but the young lady who Carrie sold her apartment to. But she tossed, she kind of throws her hands back, and her phone flings out of her hand. And we hear a guy say, like, ow. So the assumption is that the phone hit him. I thought that was really funny to me, because I felt like that's something that would happen to me. I literally have been, I'm gonna give you the example. I was walking in an amusement park, and I'm just walking, you know how you walk and swing your arms. And I'm just looking. So I'm about 5'7", but I am at an amusement park. Okay. I am at an amusement park, and I was not looking down. And like I said, I'm just walking on my way to go meet my children somewhere, wherever they were. And lo and behold, I done swung my arm and hit some little kid right in her head. Ah, Poor baby. I'm like, and I felt like it was so hard because I really was not paying attention. So I really was not even like in this conscious space of like, oh, you might actually hit somebody. Like I wasn't even thinking about that. So I thought that was really funny. It resonated with me because I felt like that would be something that would happen to me. Um so this lady then she told Carrie why she wanted her to meet her for drinks is she had a gift to give her. So she gave her looks like what a necklace with the apartment numbers on it. I think this young lady is like a jewelry maker. And so Carrie really liked that. We know Carrie loves sentimental gifts. Remember her or Carrie necklace that like she thought she lost in Paris and end up finding at the last minute, like in the bottom of her purse. Yeah, I'm a real Sex in the City fan. So I thought that was cute. Like, you see how I can point that out? Like, we know that Carrie likes those personalized things. And so now this lady has given her the numbers. I think it was 245. Like I said, on the necklace, bracelet, something like that. Very cute. She liked it. The guy brings the phone back. Remember, she tossed that phone. She never did get up and get it, but the guy got up and brought it back to her. And as he did that, as many guys do, he takes the opportunity to kind of like, oh, well, let me buy you a drink. Now, he actually was approaching Carrie, but Carrie's like, hey, no, I'm okay, but you can buy my friend a drink, you know. And so he ends up buying them both drinks anyhow. And that's the way we leave that scene. Now we check in with Charlotte, and baby, Charlotte is Charlotte. I think if we can always count on one thing, is that Charlotte is going to Charlotte. Um, Charlotte and Lisa are they're coming out to school and they have their kids like projects or something. And they kind of overhear this group of other moms discussing like college prep plans for their kids, and they were mentioning this name like Lisa Pickle, or I don't know, Lisa somebody. It's a funny little name because they keep saying it throughout the episode, even though I didn't bother to put a note on it, but it's a funny little name. So they overhear the parents kind of discussing it, and apparently, this person who they're discussing is not a person who has been, let's say, authorized or approved by their school. So of course, these kids go to some sort of preparatory academy. And Charlotte and Lisa go bursting into like the head dean or principal. They went and busted into his office like to let him know that, hey, these ladies are out here talking about hiring, somebody else to help their kids get in college. And so he, without hesitation, kind of let them know, like, well, like, you might want to do that too. So basically letting them know, like, hey, the person that they do have at their school might not be the best. And if you want your kids to get into an Ivy League school, then you might want to listen to what the parents saying and go get that lady too. So now we go back to Carrie in her backyard. So again, so that's why in the inside of the house, if you remember from my last review last week, I was telling you how it was really cool the way they had the inside of her house pretty much mimic what the apartment inside was, because we just got to see the inside of that apartment building. And so now they kind of mimic the inside of her house like that. So of course, she has a yard, and the yard has these like iron spiral stairs to come down. Excuse me. That's how she gets from I'm gonna say from her door to the yard. It's not like it's not a flat. That's the proper word. Of course, right. She is in New York City, and so a lot of brownstones and that. So yeah, it has those iron spirally staircases. Real cool. But we catch her in the backyard. She is writing. And like I said, she's writing about ladies who had lived there before her. 1846 specifically in this particular passage, she let us know that that's the time frame that she's writing about. while there, let me see. While there, she is thinking that she's really enjoying the nature, and as she's looking around, she's kind of, it's so funny because she's kind of like giggling and noticing all the little, birds and sounds. And so she kind of hears a little sound like scratching or rustling type of sound. And she's looking over in the corner where there's some bushes and bush material. And lo and behold, don't you know, like one mouse come running out of there, and then the next thing they tell you when you see one mice, one if you see a mouse, you have mice, because apparently they travel and they are in packs. Like so you don't usually have just one. It's like what do they call a group of mice? Mice. It's not another word for them, like a school of fish. That's what I mean. So what do they call like a group of mice? But anyway, a whole bunch of mice came running out from this little bush, which, oh my God, I would have wanted to move. She calling them rats. And the funny thing about her calling them rats is you literally live in New York City where there are really rats. And when I say rats, like what we saw on the screen were mice, but they have like real rats that be like in their stuff. And I've never been to New York. This is just something I heard. I just heard, and I believe it. But anyway, let me say something really quick. Okay. Oh, give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, I'm back. Um, all right, so like I said, all of these mice come running out. Okay, so she freaks out and runs up the little spiral staircase, and now she got to figure out like how to get rid of these mice. Okay, now she, of course, she kind of wants to text Aiden because this is a place for her and Aiden to have together. They were supposed to be sharing this place and furnishing it together and all of that, but now he has to be in Virginia with his 14-year-old son, who we still don't quite know what his problem is outside of having some behavioral type of issue, but we don't really know if that's all. The way that Aiden is acting about this boy, it sounds like it is something else. But maybe Aiden is a little off. Cause I'm not feeling Aiden this go around either. He like acting real slow. Anyway, but she, like I said, she wants to text Aiden because he's not there. And this is something that happened. And if you're in a relationship, yeah, you want to tell the person you're in a relationship with. So she dictates a message, like a voice to text, but then she deletes it all. And we kind of are left kind of feeling like, well, why did she do that? So now we check in with Miranda, which Miranda's at work, and I think she goes to like the break room, and there are these two other coworkers. Two of her coworkers were on their phone looking at something that looks like a Love Island type of reality show. So of course Miranda is a lawyer, and of course she probably thinks reality TV is like not the smartest thing, not the smartest thing a person would watch who's intelligent, which I beg to differ. But anyway, but she kind of speaks over and she's noticing, I think she kind of liked one of the ladies that she saw on the screen, like as attractive. But in the midst of noticing whatever was going on the screen, and then her two coworkers kind of going back and forth, she kind of sparked a little interest in it, and we see her end up watching it once she kind of goes home. Now Aiden Now, this is what we wasn't expecting. Aiden ends up surprising Carrie. Now, remember, Carrie never did send him the text about the mice, but he said he felt bad about not being able to stay on the phone with her when she called him to make up for the phone sex that she faked. Remember that? Yeah, he said he felt bad, and so he decided that he would just show up for her. Aiden, I don't know. It's like they put Aiden in as a place filler. Because I am not having the same love affair with Carrie and Aiden that we did before. I don't know. Is Aiden not that interested? Is it him as the character, like not showing up and not being able to be available for Carrie, that's making it feel like, even as an audience person, like I'm feeling like, why are you here? You know? Anyway, but I thought that was nice, right? That's something like, I think if you date somebody and it's long distance, it would be nice for them to just pop up on you, okay, and show up. Because those are like, I feel like when people do stuff like that, you probably just never know when a person is really needing you to show up for them. So I thought that was really nice and sweet. He said that Wyatt was with Kathy's family. That's his ex-wife. And like I said, he felt bad for putting her off the other night. So Carrie accepts that as fine, and they go in the room, honey, so they can make up. Well, ain't nothing to make up, but they want to get reacquainted really quick. They put Miss Kitty out, which the kitty's name is Shu. Ain't that so cute? All right, so now we're back with Charlotte and Anthony. Anthony is taking Charlotte to this new location that he's opening for his what's his business called, y'all? It's like bread and buns, or it's something with bread, and he used these men in this sexual innuendo type of way. What's it called? And tell me this. Now I feel like I need to go back and rewatch season 1, because I thought he already had a store location. So the way that this scene played out was as if he was opening a store location for the first time. I'm not really sure if this is a second location that he's opening, or if it's being regurgitated as his first location, because I thought he already had a store that they were delivering from. I don't know. Y'all have to help me out with that, unless I get a chance to go back and rewatch. But that's where Charlotte is. She with Anthony. Anthony is taking her to this new place. He kind of mentions that he hadn't been able to really talk with her about it, because she's been doing so much other things, right? She ain't been being a good friend, Charlotte. We don't know Charlotte to not be a good friend. But meanwhile, she's stalking this lady. I can't. The lady who's supposed to help all the kids get into college. So she's stalking her on Facebook and on her socials, trying to figure out, like, where's this lady gonna be? And so she does find out some information about where she gonna be at, which she contacts Lisa, like, hey, she gonna be at this baseball game with her son. Like, we need to make sure we get over there. Meanwhile, Anthony is telling her all the little ideas that he wants for his shop, like low countertops, and bread, like using bread loaves for like door handles. Now, this is where I thought a man is still a man, right? That is so funny how even men, I think, maybe decipher what's masculine and what's not masculine to them. And I'm speaking about a heterosexual versus a homosexual, right? But what was funny to me about this is in this scene with Anthony talking about the lower countertops, because he's trying to think of these ways to entice women, right? He feels like that's what he has these hot delivery guys for. Like, they, wear these tight uniforms, and he wants them really muscular. That's how he found his man. Because he put on that uniform and he could see all of his little print in it, honey. But I thought to myself, like, like I said, a man is still a man, because Nobody goes to buy bread and they really want to look directly into somebody's crotch. Like, sir. If anything, I'm gonna probably lose my appetite. So I wonder if he had to close that other shop and if ain't nobody told him. But Charlotte ain't paying no attention because we know the queen of class would tell him like that is a little crass. You talk about you and put low countertops down so that people's eyes can go directly to a man's crotch. Like that is so gross. But this is Anthony's thing, and this is what he thinks is helping him be successful. So we're gonna go along with it, okay? Aiden and Carrie talk about what they're supposed to be doing as far as communication. So Carrie musters up the not that she at this point we didn't hear her being scared about anything, but she goes along and just kind of asks Aiden, like, okay, like, what is it we supposed to be doing? Like, I know that you are there with your son and you need to focus on him. And you, like, are we able to talk and text? Like she was just saying how she felt a little uncomfortable reaching out to him and telling her, I guess, whatever problem she was having there, because she basically minimized whatever problems she was having wouldn't line up with what it is he's dealing with as far as with his son. Hey Jordan, how was work? Good. So I thought that was cool that she went ahead and just asked him, like, okay. So I thought he did really good at reassuring her, like, yeah, you can talk to me, you can call me anytime, you can text me about anything. Like you said, he does need to focus on Wyatt, but he, wants to make sure he's available for her too. And so he's like, you can call me whenever you need to. So she says, okay. Now, Miranda is now hooked on this reality show we saw her get on. So I think they're all sitting at lunch. Where is I don't know why I have that out. I have Miranda is hooked on this reality show, but then I go to Carrie looking for some things in our house. So these things must have happened. The scenes coincided or something, but she's looking for at a table or a chair or something. And whatever it is, the IG, you know how you find something on IG and then it kind of keeps messaging you like hurry up and come and get it. So she kind of gets a notification like that, which leads her to kind of go reach out to Aiden, like, hey, I saw this cute chair, like it's such and such, such and such. Like, what did you think about it? Like she had this whole long thing. And so now we get to lunch where this is where we find out Miranda is hooked on this reality show because that's all she's talking to the girls about. So Seema, Carrie, and Miranda are out at this new lunch spot. Miranda is talking about nothing but this reality show, which is so funny because that is so me when it's the Housewives. Like nobody around me knows anything about the Housewives, but I know everything about the Housewives. Anyway, and so like I said, we find out Miranda has obviously gotten hooked on here. But Carrie then tells them that she sent out this long drawn out text message to Aiden, and Aiden just responded with a thumbs down. Like typical man, right? Like that is a typical man thing. Like you got like I'm telling you about how much I like it and what it means and what I think and where I should envision it. And then he's just like, yeah, no, I didn't really care for it. Nothing, no reason why or nothing. And that really bothered Carrie. I think the thing what we're finding with Carrie is she is in this relationship with Aiden. I think she has held herself guilty about what happened between her and Aiden, even though they both went off and had marriages and he got kids, and did his thing. I feel like Carrie knows that she wants more from Aiden, but she's just really trying to play it easy and be cool, right? And not be which I feel like a lot of us women kind of get caught in that little space. Like, especially as you get older, like you don't want to be like this 30-year-old, or you know what I mean, like that's desperate for attention, you or anything. But I don't think that's what it is. I think you just want your person with you and to be able to share these things in real time. Like that's it. I agree. But like let's go back to the mice situation. By the time you figured out how to get an exterminator and he's coming and cleaning out the space, you know, had Aiden not showed up, by the time you figured all of that out, you don't want to go back and have that conversation on the back end, you know? So I think so, and Miranda seemed like surprised that that would bother Carrie, that the thumbs down would bother her. But I think the thumbs down bother her more than anything because Aiden is not physically there. I think if Hayden was able to be there and they were able to spend time the way that she imagined and pictured, the thumbs down probably wouldn't have bothered her. Now, while they're at lunch, and I think this waitress ends up hearing Miranda talk about the reality show. So the waitress chimes in. And this is where we're talking about Miranda being like a disaster when it comes to dating. I mean, and it's funny, again, because she was already a disaster when she was dating the men. So it's funny that she is a disaster dating women too. Um, but she finds that her and the waitress, they bond over this reality show and over like a particular character on this reality show. Seema is talking about how she's trying to date, and like she's really kind of over the whole thing. I told y'all already, Seema is kind of like filling in that Samantha space that that fans might be missing, right? They want somebody that's kind of got a little extra spice, a little extra oomph, who might be a little more vulgar and upfront than the other characters. And I feel like Seema is giving us that space, and she's filling in that space that way. Um, but the thing I don't like is this next scene we see her. We see her kind of going on this dating spree, where it had to be about 5 different guys they kind of ran through. And as soon as the guy sat down, she's like, oh, you know, like basically, I've dated your type, because that's how we lead it. From the lunch, she made a kind of joke or analogy, to say she's dated everybody already. And what she meant was that she's dated every type of man. And so she didn't know what was left, right? So that's what leads up into us seeing her go on these serial dates with these different random men. And each one, she's kind of like pulling a card, is the word I'm gonna use. She's, you know, kind of telling them like, oh, okay, well, I bet your name is this and you probably like this. And, you know, basically giving them her reads of them based on how they presented. And it appeared that she was on point with the things she was saying, but she was just dismissing these men. So in the meantime, we see Miranda kind of meet up with a ex-worker. So she had an interview for the BBC last season, and during that project, she got to work with with another lady who works at the BBC, I believe. And she's like from England. She has some sort of accent. Anyway, this lady was back at Miranda's job and ended up running into Miranda. And so they kind of had like a catch up moment. I mean, it's funny. Here we go again. Miranda does not know how to date, because it was instant to me that it looked like they probably should date. But Miranda is like, no, I don't see it. Okay. Now I told y'all Charlotte did track that lady down who's supposed to help them kids with their college application. So she didn't track her down at her son's baseball game. And so she gonna come and talk to the lady. Her and Lisa. They convinced her to they convinced the lady to meet with their children and to do an interview. And I don't know what this process is. I guess to interview and see if she's gonna work with them to help prep them for college applications and interviews and essays and this, that, and the third. Okay. Now, like this, the lady said, yeah. So now this leads them to running all over trying to find their children and to rearrange their schedules. Okay. Because I guess this lady told them she only had this particular day and time and it needed to happen. So we see Charlotte. Now we meet with Lily. We see Lily's phone is ringing. We know that it's Charlotte. Lily doesn't answer. Well, next thing we know, Charlotte is coming up the stairs while Lily is kissing her crush in the hallway. So Charlotte, I'm guessing this is Lily's first kiss, and Charlotte just ran right in on it. But it was cute. And I thought it was cute too, because Charlotte was like, oh my God, we thought he was just like part of your imagination. Like they thought the guy she had a crush on was just a guy she had a crush on and that he didn't notice her either. So that was cute. And thank God, right? That was embarrassing if it hadn't been. So Lisa is caught running across the lacrosse field, to change her son's like practice or something like that. So Seema goes into her office. Her assistant tells her about has a message from one of these guys that she went on this date with, and so he's kind of saying, "Hey, why don't you give me another chance? Like, it's not that." And so Seema's like, he needs to get lost. Well, clearly there's a colleague of Seema's waiting on her in the office. And so he's kind of like coming around and say like, hey, I'm sick of this. So I got somebody for you to meet. You be here at this time and you going to meet Sydney. So we see Seema go meet Sydney, and Sydney is a lady, honey, which I already figured it out too, that Sydney was also a matchmaker. Now, Seema is not here for the matchmaking. She was feeling like, excuse me. And she felt like, oh, because she's Indian, right? That, what she said, they invented matchmaking. I don't know what's wrong with your mama, why she can't get you matched. Okay. But here we go. So I think this matchmaker kind of like reads Seema, kind of, she ends up ordering her food for her by just ordering the things that she assumed that she liked. And so Seema kind of took it as like, oh, well, it was just a lucky guess. However, Seema agrees to go along with what the matchmaker is telling her about moving forward on her dates. Okay. Now we see Carrie trying to get rid of her rat problem, right? She didn't hire some exterminators to come, but baby, they didn't clean out everything. However, she telling them like, I don't want to see them on mice. Like, please make sure they go. And I thought this was cute. See, again, having the relevancy mixed in with this show is just chef's kiss. But here you got some Karen come running across the street. Now you on your bike riding. I don't know how she ended up in this conversation Carrie was having with her exterminator, but she wanted to just make sure that there was going to be non-toxic chemicals used. And Carrie just said, yeah, sure, of course. I thought that was cute because Karens don't just affect us, they affect everybody, right? They really do. And I thought Carrie, like, shooing her away was polite and cute as well. Okay, so now we're back with Lisa and Charlotte. And so this lady, Miss Fishbum or whatever her name is meeting with the kids, and they are elated and excited because, oh my God, of course they have prepared these kids, as much as they could. And now they just know that they are going, they're going to get into whatever college it is they want to. So lady comes out, goes to the bathroom, and they're going to decide to just go check in on their kids. Baby, when they open up their door, their kids are in there having panic attacks, straight panic attacks. And of course, they like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, this is not supposed to be happening. So basically, what they said is this lady then came in and told them that everything that they have done to prepare themselves to go to college, that they have to do the opposite. Of course, Lisa, played by Nicole Ari Parker, is African American, and her son is saying that this that this lady then told him that he's too inauthentic as a black person, that they needed a realer experience. And then of course Lily is adopted and she's Asian, and so she's like, she told me like not to mention that I'm Asian, which of course is absurd. Like you can see, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I thought that was really cute and funny and light, about some of the pressures that they put on themselves about getting into these spaces, and how it can all be like a flop and all for nothing. Because now Charlotte, with not before she hyperventilated as well, because her daughter is over here blowing into a bag, can't catch her breath, right? But they say, hey, F Miss Tinderbomb, whatever this lady name is, I cannot remember what that lady name is. And as they stare at her, she is coming into the room. And so she's like, well, I guess I won't be needed here. Now, what I can't decide is if this lady did that on purpose. Like, did she purposely like do that because she like to get him a lesson about coming to bother her and her son's baseball game? I don't know. But needless to say, they're not gonna need her services anymore. Now, we see Seema on this date. She got her pearls on. She wearing pastels. She got her hair straightened out. She done did everything this lady done told her, this matchmaker done told her to do. She also is sitting and listening to this guy. She is not asking him too many questions. And he is having a ball. I mean, he is having a wonderful time. And so Seema decides to tell him, like, well, listen, none of this is me. So she like, I don't wear pearls and I don't wear these pastels. And so she just comes and give it to him, like raw, like, I'm so glad you're having a wonderful time because this is miserable to me, basically, in so many words. And so he politely, kind of excuses himself to the bathroom after like giving her the, thumbs up, like, oh, really? Like, I love this. Woo woo. He goes out to the bathroom, and from nowhere, the Sydney pops up, the matchmaker. She come walking out the dining room from another area. And she sits down with Seema to let her know, like, yeah, he is gone. He is not coming back. Seema like, girl, bye. He just went to the bathroom. Like, we having a wonderful time. I told him all about who I am, and he is not worried. That lady Sydney was like, girl, he is gone. I don't know. I thought that was a funny exchange. Really, because I think for Seema, it's kind of one of these things that clearly there is something, but I don't know. It's like you do have to find this mix between like yourself and, I don't know, maybe not so much yourself. I don't know. Something like that. So Miranda tricks Carrie into meeting back up at the place where the waitress likes the same show that she likes, right? And Carrie kind of pick up on it, like, you just sat up and check this girl's schedule to find out when she coming back to work so you could be here at the same time now, didn't you? Miranda, she didn't confirm or deny, but we know that that's a confirming, right? Okay, so like I say, this is where Carrie admits that she is upset about it. So the first lunch, she was just telling them, right? So this is the one where she admits that it's still bothering her. She hasn't said anything to Aiden about the way that he responded, which Miranda is surprised that it is bothering her. The waitress comes back, and her and Miranda kind of start to have a little banter. Carrie excuses herself to the bathroom at this time. Now, in between that, Carrie goes in the bathroom to dictate a message to Aiden that she did not send yet again, right? she dictate this whole message. And in the end end up sending him like an eye roll, which I thought was classic, because that's like classic like female behavior, right? Like you type out a whole lot because you might just have to get it all out, and then you're like, okay, I'm not sending all of that, and then you just give him the same energy he gave you, like whatever. And at the same time, Miranda is at the table hitting on this waitress, okay? Because she's like, oh, she's not the only one that's hot, because the waitress happened to mention one of the ladies on the show is hot. And so she's like, oh, she's not the only one that's hot. How about me and you go? I don't remember what this lady said, but the lady had to tell her, the waitress had to say, like, I am married with kids, basically. And so here go Miranda. This is what I'm saying. As horrible as she was dating men, she is twice as horrible dating women. But Miranda was like, oh, well, I just figured because you watched the show, and I'm so now it dawns on me that this show is gotta be something geared towards LGBTQ plus, right? So that's what she said. Oh, you watch so and so, and you think so and so is hot, and so the lady is like, well, yeah, like I watch TV, like just because I watch TV doesn't mean, and I can't remember the analogy she used because it was a good one. Damn, and now I can't remember. But she was like, yeah, like basically, like just because you watch certain stuff doesn't mean like that's what you're into per se. So it was very superficial. It was very entitled. All of those things Miranda hates, like to be judged as she was in that moment, and embarrassed. Okay, among other things. Well, Carrie rushes back home so she can meet her landscaper, and she finds out that her cat Shoe, which is so cute, she named the cat Shoe. She found out that somehow her cat gotten out, so she runs out the front door, calling out for her cat, and this guy has it, and so she talks, and turns out it's her gardener, the landscaper that she's waiting to meet. That's who has her cat. So she walks to him to get it. They start to talk, and then invites him to come back to come see the space that he needs to landscape, which is all bare, honey. They took everything from about it, every bush, grass, everything. So he decides, his name is Adam, the gardener, because Adam is going to be around for a while. And I think Adam is going to give Aiden a run for his money. I don't know, because even on the preview, like they pulled up and it made it seem like Seema was going to be, kind of flirtatious with him. But for some reason, that scene with him having the cat in his arms, she runs out looking for the cat. It's in his arms. He happened to be there to be for the landscaping. And he asks her this question in this episode. This is how the episode ends. He asks her, like, hey, what would you like to do with this space? What would you like to see with the space? Oh, excuse me. What is your ultimate vision? And she asks him, well, what do you think? So, she said, so he's kind of like, like, why would it be what I think? Like, you should have what you want. And so she's like, well, here's the thing. Like, I liked everything as it was. And now that's changed. So I don't know what comes next. And he responds, well, that's exciting because what's meant to be has space to show up. I really like that. You saw I had to write that whole thing down. I really like that. And I felt like having that little phrase right there is pertinent to whatever we're about to see transpire between their relationship. Because again, go back to where Carrie and Aiden is. Carrie is in this space with Aiden where she doesn't want to bother him. Basically, for lack of better words, and doesn't feel like she's able to. because he has his responsibility to his child. And she doesn't want to come in between that. And okay, I understand that. So now here's this guy, and again, she says, I like things the way that they were, but now things change. But now that's all changed, right? And so he's like, well, that's exciting because what is meant to be has space to show up. Yeah. So, and that is gardening and showed up, and he gonna be there for a little bit of time because he got to get this garden together. I don't guess it's gonna take. I'm gonna think it's gonna take him at least 2 to 3 episodes. 2 to 3 episodes. So I don't know, Aiden. You better step your game up because tell me, I'm not feeling the Aiden and Carrie like butterflies. I feel like we got hyped up for it, and now it's a letdown for us all. Carrie included, right? I guess, because she's the character and the one going through this season, for sure, it's her that's most disappointed. But as fans, I think we disappointed too. And I don't know if it's Aiden, if it's his acting that's showing up and it's lackluster. If Aiden looks different and maybe that's lackluster. Something is lackluster about Aiden and Carrie this season. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. Y'all drop down in the comments and tell me what y'all think. Tell me what y'all think about Miranda making a damn fool out of herself, trying to hit on that lady, on that waitress, all because they watched the same LGBTQ plus show. Oh my God, Miranda, entitled much? Charlotte. Oh, Charlotte got the best lesson about like, hey, take it easy. And what's gonna be is gonna be, right? You're gonna wait all the way up to your kids' junior year till it's time for them to fill out college applications, and now, kind of worry about whether they will or won't. So I feel like that's what the message there was. Tell me how you liking the season so far. Again, we only on episode 2. I'm loving it. Interested to see where Carrie and Aiden goes, but I'm thinking I don't see it for Aiden. Tell me what y'all think, okay? Other than that, make sure you have subscribed to my channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and hit the bell notification so you can be notified when I upload a new video, okay? Until the next time, I'll see you later. Bye.